Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So here's a combo video on my recent Shaddoll Invoke deck, or Invoked Shaddoll, however way you guys want to call it. So anyway, I finally put this deck together, and I was trying to figure like how to play this deck going first as well, and thankfully we actually have a way to do that. Originally I had planned to run the Psyframe gears, which if you've seen my post about a week ago, or a week or two actually, I decided I was going to try running Psyframe Lord Lambda, but now Shaddolls in general actually have a new trap card that actually really does a lot of good work for you, especially if you want to bring out Winded during your opponent's turn. Yeah, it gets pretty nasty if you can pull it off. So anyway, I just want to show you guys at least two test hands, you know, one going first, one going second, and we'll just see like what my hands have, and yeah, just go from there. I still feel like the Invoke build of Shaddolls can still do a lot this format, even the pure build if you play correctly, because, you know, both have an advantage and disadvantage towards one another. Like, the Invoke build is really good because it can pump out, like, huge boards and can actually apply a lot of pressure, whereas the pure build plays a more of a slow game, but can still, like, stall your opponent to where you can easily just, like, drain him of his resources. The Invoke build is a little bit more aggressive, and I did kind of adjust the deck where it still played a little bit of the slow game. That way, you know, you can still, like, compete against this current format. Yeah, we have to deal with Dogmaticas now, Infernoble Knights, which honestly I have no fear with because, like, because they force you to discard cards and it's not cost, you can actually trigger your Shaddoll cards effects. So yeah, like Infernoble Knights is probably my least worried one, but yeah, Dogmatica, because there's going to be so many different variants of it, that's the one that kind of worries me. So we'll just have to wait and see how this format develops even further. So anyway, let's not keep you guys waiting, let's get started. Okay, so this is the going first hand. Okay, we got Pot of Avarice, not too bad. Okay, Shaddoll Hedgehog, Shaddoll Wendy. Ooh, nice. Magical Meltdown, so that's actually an excellent start. And last but not least, Shaddoll Fusion. Okay, so normally Shaddoll Fusion is not really all that good going first because all it is just polymerization. But, you know, just for the sake of this video, you know, it is actually pretty decent to see. As long as we have one Shaddoll Fusion card or Il Shaddoll Fusion, that's fine by me. Anyway, first thing first, we're actually going to go ahead and start by activating the Magical Meltdown. This is always going to be the start of the combo because you need Alistair the Invoker as soon as you can. So, of course, you're going to add your Alistair, normal summon Alistair, so you can get Invocation. And this is where the combo really gets started. So, anyway, moving on. Now, this is actually just the most basic combo when it comes to normal summoning your Alistair. You link it off for your Salamangreat Almirage. By now, everyone should already know the combo. So, yeah, link off for Almirage, link off Almirage for Secure Gardener. And, yeah, that's it. Now what we're actually going to go ahead and do is, if you want to, you could activate the Invocation now, just so you can banish the Secure Gardener and Alistair the Invoker, since, you know, you have a light monster now. We'll make the Invoked Mechaba. Alright, so now that Mechaba's on the field, we do have a viable negate. Before I move on, we're going to go and just use the Invocation effect, shuffle it back into my deck, so I can add back Alistair the Invoker. In case someone tries to Nibiru me, you'd at least have the Alistair or any one of these Shaddoll monsters as discard fodder. Now for this, just for the sake of this video, we're not going to worry about that kind of thing. Again, it's like whenever you actually duel someone, this is where you basically figure out your own strategies from here. This just kind of teach you guys how to play the deck. Anyway, we're going to go and activate Shaddoll Fusion. Considering we are going first, we have to use materials that are in our hand. So we'll go ahead and use Shaddoll Wendy and Shaddoll Hedgehog. We're actually going to go ahead and make the Il Shaddoll Winda. Simply because, at least with Winda out, I can at least now guarantee that, you know, I can lock out my opponent from summoning too many monsters. Because, you know, especially with Alistair the Invoker in hand, it can power up any fusion monster you control, not just your invoked one. So Il Shaddoll Winda will at least be 3,200 if your opponent tries to attack over it. But anyway, we got two effects, effective Wendy Chainlink 1, Hedgehog Chainlink 2. We could search out a Shaddoll card, or Shaddoll monster, I should say, to our hand, in which case, let's go with, you know what, I wouldn't feel bad searching out Squamata for this. Yeah, let's do that. We'll go and search out our Squamata, and with Shaddoll Wendy, we're going to go ahead and special summon yet another Shaddoll from our deck. Let's go with Beast, in case, you know, your opponent tries to attack over it. At least we get a draw 2 and discard 1, and if I discard the Squamata, I can at least get the trap card to the grave. So yeah, so we'll go and special summon Beast and face down defense like you're supposed to. And yeah, that's pretty good. Main phase, well, actually, we're still in the same main phase 1 because we don't get to attack. I'm just gonna hold off on the Pot of Avarice. So yeah, that's generally all you got to do on your first turn. You know, your opponent starts his turn. You know, if he tries to, like I said, tries to beat over that Winda, which will be pretty hard because all things considering, Winda has a pretty solid body. Of course, if you're up against Eldritch, they're gonna run it over with the Golden Lord. But again, that's what Alistair the Invoker's for. You discard him, basically power up your Winda, you're set to go. And then if your opponent tries to attack with another monster, if he goes for your face down monster like Beast, he's going to run the risk of letting you have a draw too. Even if he doesn't attack the Beast, you can flip summon him on your own turn. You flip summon it during your turn, use his effect after you do your draw phase, of course. Then you use his effect to draw 2, but you have to discard 1. Oh, nice. Now I drew into Shaddolls Schism. I'd probably discard the Squamato, like I said, just to get the trap card into the grave. The Shaddolls Incarnation, I mean. And yeah, like that's just the general idea. It's like you basically just keep applying advantage towards yourself while pressuring your opponent by forcing him into gaining some disadvantage. So anyway, that's just the general concept basically. Anyway, let me go and shuffle everything back and we'll go and start again. But yeah, like now you guys know like how Invoked Shaddoll works. Like you use both the Invoke just to get your combo started, and then if you open up with one of your Shaddoll cards, you could potentially like keep going off, you know, just like get your Shaddoll fusion monsters as well. All right, so test hand number 2. Sorry about that. All right, let's see what we got now. So opening hand is, oh nice, Nibiru. So excellent one, especially when you're going second, because again, that's where this deck's really at its strongest. That extra card is just too valuable. So yeah, El Shaddoll Fusion, not too bad. The original Shaddoll Fusion, so that's still pretty good. Okay, Magical Meltdown again, so yeah, we're getting somewhere. And another Nibiru, okay. Well, I can't say I'm too happy seeing 2 Nibirus in my hand, but all things considering, it's fine. It's not that bad. So, you know, your opponent's gonna go first. As soon as he summons 5 monsters, you're probably gonna wanna spring that Nibiru right on him. We'll just give him a token. It's no big deal. So, you draw on your turn, Pot of Avarice again, so yeah. And that's actually why I run 2. Now, your opponent's not going to have monsters summoned from the extra deck, especially if you Nibiru'd him, unless he did miraculously somehow. At least Shaddoll Fusion could be live. But for right now, let's go ahead and activate the Magical Meltdown, in which case now we're going to go ahead and add our Alistair the Invoker. And of course, you already know the drill. Normal summon Alistair the Invoker in order to bring out your invocation. All right. Now I actually have something a little different this time around. This might be a little tricky, but if I pull this off right, this could actually work. Next, what we're actually going to go ahead and do is we're actually going to go ahead and, well, first we're going to link off Alistair first to make the All Mirage, but instead I'm not going to go into Secure Gardener, simply because I do have the Light Attribute monster already available to me. So we're actually going to go ahead and play Al Mirage, and then we're going to link off the Al Mirage when Nibiru. Now the reason I'm doing this is because if I bring out Secure Gardener, I'm not going to be able to get rid of it other than using a fusion spell, because Secure Gardener cannot be used as fusion, or cannot be used as link material, I'm sorry. But because we have 2 different monsters of different types and attributes, we can bring out Alistair the Invoker of Madness for this combo. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is activate the Invocation. We're going to banish Alistair with the Nibiru. Or if you wanted to, actually, because there's another combo you can do this with. If you banish the Al Mirage, you can make Purgatrio, where that way, you know, it gains power for every attack, well, for every card your opponent controls. But bear in mind, because your opponent would still have the Nibiru token, it could be a huge body set. But for now, we're just going to do the basic 1 light and 1 Alistair to make Mechaba. So, here he is. Okay, so we're going to make Mechaba. And then as soon as that finishes, this Alistair will trigger off, allowing us to add another invocation to our hand. Now, the reason this is so important is simply because I might have another way of getting rid of that token. Now, this isn't something I would normally do unless I had any other choice. But let's say your opponent, I don't know, played a fusion monster. If your opponent did have a fusion monster, you could use Invocation again, banish this Alistair because he counts as Alistair the Invoker while on the field or in the grave. You can banish 1 monster on your opponent's graveyard. Again, if he happened to have a fusion monster, I'd say go for it. In which case, you'd bring out the new Invoked Agio, Agiodes. I don't know how do you actually pronounce it. Again, I'm sorry if I butchered that name so badly. His name is really tricky. And the reason why this works so well in this deck is because as soon as he is special summoned, or if your opponent special summons a monster or monsters, you can pop one monster your opponent controls. In which case, get rid of that token. You do not want your opponent to keep that token. This invocation effect, you're going to shuffle it back into your deck to add back the original Alistair to your hand. And then at this point, you're free to go ahead and enter your battle phase. You can attack with the Invoked Mechaba, and then also, if you wanted to, you could also use Alistair. Just discard him, give him a power boost, and then attack with the Invoked Agiothedes. I can't pronounce it too well, I'm sorry. That'd be at least 5,500 worth of damage, and that's still pretty solid, all things considering. And if your opponent tries to do any monster effects during his turn, next turn, because he's still alive, you can either discard the Nibiru to negate and banish, or if your opponent tries to take advantage of some spell, you could discard, a spell as well. So you discard whatever you want just to keep this negation live. And again, you still got this guy, so he's pretty good. So if your opponent special summons a monster, you can just pot that monster right away. So again, not the most powerful board, but it can still do quite a bit if you're careful. I didn't like the fact that I opened up with 2 Nibirus, but it happens, Like I said, if you didn't get the hand you want, you can still play the slow game and you can do whatever you like with it. So anyway, hope you guys enjoy this, and I will catch you guys again next time.